Hi, Erwin Arnstein here, again with another tuba demo. This time I'm going to show you my latest acquisition. This was, bought this a couple of, last year I believe, from Badger Instrument Repair on eBay. Now this is a fully refurbished 1957 Conn 24J. Now the Conn 20J and the 24J are famous instruments. They're immense. They're just huge instruments. When I pick this baby up, you can see what I'm talking about. Now, one of the issues with the Conn 24 is that it has a bell forward. If it has the bell sticking straight up, it's either a Conn 21J, which is the 3-valve version, or the 24J, which is the 25J, which is the upright bell version. Now you can see this old bell is kind of stinky and whatever, but I paid premium to get this off of eBay to get it, because everybody in the concert band videos that I make, and there's tons of them on my channel because that's what I'm doing now, they always want the upright tuba sound. But yeah, I like bell forward tuba sound, especially if there's only one or two tuba players in a big ensemble. Having a bell forward is going to give the bass that much more presence. If you're in an older school auditorium where you have a huge backstage and a lot of curtains that come down, you're not in a performance hall, again, I think that the bell forward instrument is probably a better solution than all these uprights. I know everybody uses uprights and everybody's into that. That's the thing now. But to me, the practical use of an instrument, and a guy who does a lot of video and a lot of sound work, I wouldn't have to fool with EQ curves if we had bell forward instruments. So having said that, what's the deal with the giant Conn 20 and 24J tubas? Why do these things have such a cult following? Now this is the same model as a 20J, which is the first tuba that I ever had. And I'll try to insert a picture, a silly one, granted, maybe two, of my very first Conn back when I had hair. So that's going about 35, 40 years ago when I had that. It was the first instrument I could get and I could afford. I paid, I think, $600 back in the mid-80s, or late 80s, which would be a lot of money today, come to think of it. And one of the neat things about the Conn is that you notice, and I'll try to show this in pictures, is that the valves are offset. So the spread that you see on people playing these forward action tubas, and the forward action tubas, of course, is the thing right now, and people have their fingers spread way out. Now I have long piano fingers. I can reach over an octave easily on the piano, octave and 2 notes. It's not really a problem for me to hit accurately all the time. And even so, I don't really like my hands that far spread out. And we have an instrument of this bore and this size. What Conn did was put oblong tubing in between the valves so that they could shorten the stroke of the instrument. Now people say, well, the valves are real big and they're real heavy and they're real slow. I found the shorter valve throw just easier to play, more akin to that of a rotary instrument, but you still have the advantages of valves, whatever that is, because certain players like rotary, certain players like valve instruments. So personal preference. I don't really care where the valves are. I've had forward action instruments, I've had upright action instruments. It doesn't care. All I care about is how the instrument responds in my hands. Is it easy to play? I bought one of these because there are some Singapore Slingers videos, I'll try and put a reference in the link, where I actually did a performance using the Boss's 20J, and he has a real nice silver with gold wash bell. And I remembered how powerful that my old horn was, but how controllable it was and how easy it played. I didn't have to sit there and work with the instrument for weeks to try to figure out how it was going to respond. The interesting thing about these instruments I found with Conns is that the differences between the valves and the way they play is more than that on other instruments. I don't know if it's the oblong valves or maybe it's all in my head. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm sure there's plenty of people that would agree with that. But generally, I've always picked these things up and I've been able to play them right off. They've never been a problem. And I'm sure, I think it's the marching Mississippians who play 24 J's on the field instead of sousaphones. And I hope they have a huge budget for back surgery and all that, because this thing has got to be a bear to hold up. So what we're going to listen to is my typical etudes, which I've been playing for 40 plus years, and the point, or maybe 50. And the point of it being is that you can see how I'm playing at this point, and you can accurately compare in all my videos all the various tubas that I've played, and think about how they sound and whatever. First and fourth replaces the first and third combination. Second and fourth replace all three. Whether the tuning's better or not, depending on if you slides pull, whatever. Again, all kind of a personal preference thing. I also talk about how when I got this, I really didn't mind that it was lacquer. Now people talk about the response of lacquer versus silver and all that. I think it's far more important to think about what mouthpiece you're sticking in the horn. Now having said that, I seem to be using a Rose orchestras or a Rose solo in every instrument that I play in. It just kind of became what was comfortable for me to play, and I knew how the mouthpiece felt and how it responded. So let's hear Big Conn here. So the bell up really gives the Conn a much more mellow sound, but it has a big, full, nice sound. And actually, I'm not even playing it correctly, because when you're playing a Conn 24J, it's meant to be played with a bit. So what I have, and you'll see in many of my videos, is a sousaphone bit, just one. And that may be a little long for what the 24 wants, but it does make it a little more adjustable, maybe a little easier to play instrument. I'm still learning this horn and started getting used to the response to it. Notice I didn't use the typical fingering where you'd expect to use the fourth valve and add a lot more tubing. Instead, I kept the instrument open and used fingering for one bit above. When you're playing your harmonics and you have F, E flat, B flat, F, B flat, you also have one that's below that, and that's just letting your lips fly, and it actually kind of turns out to be like an E flat. Now that's more of me just not sitting around and working on playing low tones on this instrument. So if you heard me do a demo on a King, I don't know, but it seems like instruments with lesser brass seem to do it better. Now I can also do it this way. But when I use the fourth valve in combination, what I use is the third valve as a flat first to keep the instrument in tune. So that's another way you can finger things and do it. Now, I've had people try to explain to me how to use a 5-valve tuba, a 4-valve tubas to play these low registers, to play these super low notes. Geez, whatever way you get the instrument out to play these notes right and play them in tune, I think that's really all that cares. So you can decide whether or sounds better to you. I think the open, without using the fourth valves, is a little brighter, so you can consider that. Generally, when you're playing these sub pedals, you're playing them with other tubas who are going to play the upper octave, so you become like the 32-foot pipe on a organ, and you're just playing everything down an octave to add that feeling to it. And you can hear that in a number of the Wiley Community Band videos. There's some players that are really good, like Mike, who can play the low octaves and play to the sky really well. I used to be able to do that. I think those days are kind of over. So let's hear the 25 play some of my favorite charts. Of course, I blew some of the articulations, but, take it for what it is. The other point of these videos is kind of to document my decline in years. I'm now 65. I don't play like I used to. I guess if I practiced every day, I could probably get a lot of that back, but, I really don't have that desire anymore. Just play for fun. Okay. That's very mellow, very nice, big, full sound, and that really shows you how really good these Conn 2024Js are. Now, I can play really loud if I want to. Maybe not crack the notes. But point is, even though you have a great big tuba, if it can play softly and it can play loudly, well, there's so much the better. Now I'm going to go and play one more tune here. It's going to be a popular song, one I played in my King demo. And it's, from the Singapore Slinger era, Sweet Georgia Brown. And nice thing about it is you get to hear the horn in kind of a different environment and kind of a different interpretation and a different way of playing the horn. Articulation is going to be different. The way I attack notes is going to be different. Everything's going to be different because really, be playing foxtrot music is a completely different style than playing classical music. So there you go. That's the Conn 25J. Now, by comparison, let's move right along. It'll take me just a minute, and I will swap bells, and we'll hear all the same things, but on the recording bell. And you'll get to see what the difference between a Conn 24J and a 25J on the same charts by the same player is going to sound like. Okay, so undo these three knobs, and off comes the uglier, stinkier one. Maybe at least I'll either refinish it myself or pay someone to have it refinished. Okay. And everything on these weighs a ton. If you look at the Kalidnikov First Symphony Finale on my channel, you'll see me standing next to three other tuba players. Two of them have Eastman Andrus models. One has the really big one, and one has the standard 4/4, maybe it's 4/5, I'm not sure. The other cat, I believe, has a Marathon or a Marathon copy. And you can see just really how big and how immense the Conn 24J is. I don't know the tuba really needs to be this big, but there you go. Alright, now I've got the bells swapped over a little bit. So, just for ease and convenience, you'll see the music. And let's go back with the three studies I just played with the forward-facing bell. So, completely different sound, bells projected forward, sound projected forward. Imagine the French horns or the trombones, whoever has to sit in front of me would probably just rather have me play the upright bell. You also notice that when I played that, I was having problems. You'll notice that sometimes when I'm playing the upper D, I'll play first and second valve. It's not because I'm intending to do that. It's because that's what my brain is sending to my hand. Normally I would play it open. The other thing is when I did a King demo, I had to get used to playing a 3-button horn again, and I've been playing this instrument exclusively, so the problem there again becomes when do you push 1 and 3 and when do you push 4 if you have a 4. Alright, maybe a little scale too. The instrument has a really good range and it sounds great everywhere. I'm really very pleased with the horn, and I think it'll keep me strong in my old age because picking this thing up is sort of a weightlifting exercise every time you play it. I am getting a little tired after playing these demos, and I think that is affecting how I'm playing the horn. Generally, playing in my band is not as much as a workout. So, let's go to the dance hall music, which you expect to hear this, and of course, you want to hear someone play the big Conn tuba really nicely. Look for Matt Tolentino's channel. He's the leader of the Singapore Slingers, the New Liberty Orchestra. Wonderful musician, pianist, accordion player, banjo, and just about anything else he gets his hand on. So in that way, we're kind of the same. And you can hear him playing. Hopefully, there's some videos out here with him on the big Conn, even when he's just jamming with friends. So let's get brown. Yep, excuse me. And there you go. So, now you've heard a Conn 25J and a Conn 24J, and you can decide, maybe make comments or whatever you feel like, and you can get an idea of the differences that a bell forward makes, as well as the upright bell makes, and decide which one works better. At least with this instrument, it was designed to play with fourth, and you can just change the bells to get a completely different sound and a completely different response. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if